Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to use JavaScript, the power of JavaScript to do some animation on your web page. So in this particular scenario, we'll be showing you how to change the color of your background page. Interesting, right? So in order to see it until the end, the full explanation, keep watching until the end. Here you start with the basic HTML, which is within the HTML tag. You do the body tag and then just do a simple button, the open and close button. Yeah, and then the button says something like enter the page or change the color, change the web page, whatever you want to write. So that's it. Now here you're not focusing too much on HTML and CSS because this is a JavaScript class. You can beautify it more by using more CSS and all that. But since it's JavaScript function, so I want to explain that more in detail. So here we've already created a button. So button exists in the body. Now we go and do some. So here you have this change background, which is a very basic, boring button, okay? Because this is not about CSS and HTML. So come back to your JavaScript script, yeah? So let's start making some JavaScript code in order to make the functionality of the web page. So const button, now you just call it make a variable called const button. Now this here, as you know, when a element already exists, so button is already existing, so it will be document.query selector. So you're just selecting an element which is already there. So document.query selector and button, because button is already there, so within the US button, so that's already there. Then next, what do you need to do? You need to have a function whereby you can change, you can do something to change colors of the web page. So you have to do a basic mathematics here, function random number. So here you want it in such a way that when you click it, the colors keep changing randomly. So this is for the change of the color calculation. So function random number return. So just think of it in a humanistic way. So you want to return something. What do you want to return? Now, as you know, in JavaScript, when you do math.floor, yeah, so when you do the math.floor and math.random. So first math.floor, yeah, and then within that you do math.random. So math.floor will return you integers, and then the math.random will give you the kind of the number that will give you an integer. Math.random will return you an integer between 0 and whatever number you are writing in your code, yeah, because you need to have a range in order to have random numbers. So that is the function of math.random, and math.floor will be ideally giving you floating point numbers between 0 inclusive and 1 exclusive. Yeah, so this is already there in JavaScript. You can refer to that chapter later. So basically the idea is I do math.floor and then math.random in order to return just integers, and I then do multiplied by number times 2, because what happens is, let's say in your, I will explain that once I do the numbers. So you just watch along first. Yeah, because in RGB, when you do colors in CSS, you know, there's a range called RGB, right? For blue, for green, for different colors. So I will explain that once you do the color range. You mentioned the color range there. Okay, so let's go back here to function change the background. So this is where what you're doing, changing the background color of the web page. Okay, so const random. So const random colors, right? So call it random color, whatever you like to call. So this is another variable where you want to store something. Yeah. So here, what do you want to store? You want to store those RGB numbers. So you're already aware of that since you've done CSS by now. So let's talk of a range of different RGB colors. It can be anything. It can be like 0 to 255 or 0 to 125, anything. So for example, so you know, since we are returning random numbers, I write RGB and then within the dollar sign, a bit of jQuery here, random. And the color range that I want to write, so I write 155. The 155 I write 3 times, because you know that for different shades in RGB, if you want a mix of colors, random colors, you write like 3 times the different numbers, right? Like 72, 25, 183 will give you one shade of color, 90, 50, 180 will give you another range of color, and so on. So that's the idea of doing this random colors 3 times. So let's say, for example, I am writing the random range colors between here, in this particular scenario, between 0 to 155. Yeah, so what happens is it will return. Since I've done the math.floor will give you floating point numbers, and the math.random will turn that into flat numbers. Yeah, so flat numbers which is between 0 to 155. So 0 to 155, 155 not inclusive. So 0 to 0 and 154 included. So it will give you those kind of shades, like for example 72, 25, 180, 60, 35, 120, so which is less than 155. So let's see what happens. So that was the idea of doing, when you do number. Now another thing is over above, I've done random, math.random multiplied by number.2. So this is just to explain the mathematics behind that. So 155 times 2 is 300 something, right? So what happens is 310 something. So what happens is it will go and seek color range between 0 and 310. Yeah, and then until 309, because 310 is not inclusive, so it will give you more shades. So that was the idea. Now it's not necessary you have to do number times 2, you can do any kind of calculations above, which I'll be showing later. Now after this, in the same function change background, you have also to do, after specifying the color range of RGB, so that it will choose a range in between that, document.body.style background color is random color, because you've already stored the variable color numbers in variable random color. So then you allocate this variable random color value to document body.style. That means the body has a style and the style has a background color. To that you allocate this random color value, variable value, right? And then you go after, then come out of the function of change background. Then what you do is you already having a button, you're storing some value in variable button. So to the button you add event listener. Yeah. So what is the event listener? In what kind of event is that? This is the click event. Yeah. So add a key event listener. Now before that, when you click on it, something is wrong here in the above code. So just go back and do some corrections here. Yeah, I know where it's gone wrong. Function random, in the math.floor, the dot was not specified by typo error, and then you need a opening bracket there. Yeah, that's missing. The parenthesis, the opening parenthesis was missing. That's again a typing error. Sorry about that. So math.flow, okay, and it's still not clicking, it's still not creating that effect, it's not giving you the expected output. Yeah, so what again is wrong? Just go down and check. Math.floor giving the floating point numbers, math.random giving you the flat numbers, then multiplied by number.2, it will give you like multiples of 0 to 155, and the range in between 0 to 310 not inclusive in this particular scenario. And you've already mentioned the RGB shades here in the function change background, stored it in the constant random colors. And yeah, there's a spelling mistake here, document.body.style.background color. So by mistake, there's a double D here. So you need to come down here and change that spelling. Sorry about that. So this always happens, this kind of typing error. So that's okay. You just need to learn to debug. Yeah. And then Once you do that, come back to button.add event listener. It's a click event. Yeah. So first parameter will be click. Second parameter will be simple, change background. Because what you want to do, when you press the click button, the background has to change. So then you need the change background. Yeah. That's it. So now it keeps changing randomly, as you can see. So many colors will keep changing. Yeah. So this is what you expected. And now I'll be showing you, like, instead of number multiplied by 2, you can just do just number. Still it will happen. When you just do number, it will be from 0 to 155. So those shades will be selected. So as you can see, you see different shades. And you can even do number plus 1, anything. So number plus 1. So then what happens is, like, I have given the shade of 155. So 155, yeah, so it will be like plus 1. Yeah, so it's slightly different shades. But this is just simple, silly mathematics. So just for you to experiment with different values over there. So what I'm trying to say, it could be anything here. And even in the color range, even number times 3, so it will be 3 times. The color range will go even higher, so you get more varieties. That's the idea. Basically, the idea is whatever number you put there, 155, 255, whatever, so it will, if you multiply or add or minus, it will do that calculation, return you random flat numbers between 0 to that maximum number, from 0 to the maximum number, exclusive of the last number, and it will give you those shades, random shades. That's the idea of doing the RGB colors there and doing the mathematical calculation there. So please be specific and careful when you do math.floor and math.random, because remember, math.floor is floating point number, and math.random, the reason you're doing it again is to return you flat numbers. I hope you do understand that is whole numbers, because you need whole numbers, not floating point numbers, right? In RGB, it's always whole numbers. So this is the idea I've already explained, and I'm also trying to do a different color, RGB color. Last time it was 155, now I'm doing it 255. Again, it's the same thing. Yeah, so this will give you more different shades, because this will do the calculation, like it will multiply 255 by 2, and then it will give you a bigger range. And then number plus 1 will be 255 plus 1, 256. It will give you a range between 0 to 255, which is like 80, 20, 183, and so on. You know, not 183, 255. So 180, 190, 200, whichever is less than 255. Because 250, when you add 255 plus 1, 256, the last number maximum is not inclusive. So I'm just showing you different permutations and combinations that will give you different shades of color, just to tell you the mathematics behind that, why it's happening. So it's not necessary it has to be just one and same, it could be different calculations there. So that's the reason I'm doing it and showing it to you. So as you can see, it's all giving you different combinations, yeah, random numbers. So I hope you understood this, and I'll be doing more such interesting projects for JavaScript, actual projects, and including the React lessons. So keep subscribed, and please press the share and like button to contribute to support my channel, and do not forget to press the bell button so that you don't miss out on any of my tutorials in future for JavaScript and React and web development in general. Okay, so I hope you understood. If you didn't understand, do mention in the comments below. See you.